Hi, AJ Hartley here, novelist, Shakespeare professor, fan of TV and various other aspects of Japanese music and culture. And I want to talk today about a new show called Light of My Lion. I thought it was terrific and I really wanted to talk a little about it.
みーちゃんは今のみっくんとの生活を守るので精一杯だよ。何も変わらないことが何よりも大事なことだった。お名前は？
The Japanese original title is Raion no Kakurega, and it was aired on TBS at tail end of last year. It was written by Koji Tokuo and Yoshino Ichinohe. Stars Yuyu Yagira as Hiroto, Ryoto Bando as Michito, Tasuku Sato as Lion, and Asuka Saito as Mio. It's a drama. It's set in Ibaraki with scenes from Tokyo and Yamanashi, including Kofu, where I used to live. It's a Tokyo Broadcasting drama currently airing on Netflix in the US, focusing on two brothers, one of whom, Michito, has quite severe autism. Since their parents are dead, Mikun's older brother, Hiroto, is his primary caregiver. He works in local government in Ibaraki in a pretty minor kind of job, having withdrawn from university in order to look after his brother, who spends his days painting at an art school for kids with special needs. Their lives are settled and driven by a strict sense of routine, since Michito, or Mikun as he's usually called, does not handle change or surprise well. That's part of his condition. Everything is upended by the sudden arrival of a 6-year-old boy who identifies himself only as Lion. He brings chaos, smashing, sometimes literally, every stable element of their lives. Hiroto, the older brother, wants to go to the police, but begins to suspect that the boy may have been sent to them by their estranged sister. The child also exhibits signs of abuse, and as Hiroto begins to look into who he is and where he's come from, he stumbles on reports suggesting that his sister has committed suicide and is being considered responsible for the murder of her child.
行方不明事件があるんだけど。
ライオンのお母さん、どこにいます？
As the show progresses, the story develops a suspense element as a mysterious figure in white begins to reappear, and a pushy journalist attempts to unravel the sensational story of the mystery woman who may have killed her child and herself. I won't say too much about the core plot for fear of spoiling the story, but suffice it to say the drama balances darker elements and an all-too-real narrative concern for domestic abuse with an uplifting story about family resilience and balancing the things which need to stay the same and the things which have to change to allow people to grow. The heart of the story is the relationship between the brothers and their developing connection with Lion, the little boy. Mikun, who has autism, is fascinated by color and by animals, particularly lions. And the show draws on a running metaphor about the safety of the pride to explore the little boy's troubled home life and the brothers' attempt to create a safe space for him in their lives. The result is at once touching and tense, shot through with an innocent and fragile optimism which is alternately joyous and heartbreaking. If the thriller plot sometimes creaks with the weight of coincidence, the show works primarily because of the performances of the principal actors. Yuya Yagira's Hiroto is primarily a straight man to the boys in his life, trying to keep things together while figuring out how to keep the people he loves safe and still have a life himself, something that occasionally pushes his measured control close to breaking point. Ryoto Bando's Michito is a compellingly plausible representation of someone with a specific set of learning disabilities and social disorders, and he's wonderfully consistent. The character's candor brings the show much needed humor, and his battling through the unique difficulties he has in expressing himself, adjusting to new experiences, and connecting with others is beautifully portrayed. His artwork, painted for the show by Kosuke Ota, an artist with similar learning disabilities and autism, is vibrant and evocative, showing pictorially something of the joy and clarity he finds in the world, and providing a nice counterpart to his more obvious struggles. Watching Mikun grow steadily closer to Lion, overcoming his panic and reservations, and embracing him as part of his life is exquisite and tender. Tasuku Sato, the little boy who plays Lion, delivers a remarkable pitch-perfect performance, far superior to most of the child actors you see on TV. As a director, I'd love to see how this was achieved, especially since there are times when he seems so utterly natural that the scenes that he's in feel improvised rather than scripted.
ライオン役の佐藤佑です。小森家に出発
In a mini post-production documentary in which he shows a film crew around the house that was the show's primary set, he talks about the locations, props, and events as if they are entirely real, referring to his fellow actors by their character names throughout, as if he was engaged not in a TV shoot, but an elaborate game of make-believe.
ミックのお母さんとお父さん。
お母さんとお父さんね。
あ、これ
これなんだっけ？
ミックのルーチン。
ルーチンだね。
As such, he seems to have been able to think and feel more than was written for him, behaving in the best tradition of Stanislavski or Meisner, inhabiting the role as if it was real, rather than simply being directed to be something other than himself.
なんだろう。
Young child actors rarely get this right, and even when they do, they usually grow out of the ability as soon as they become more self-aware. So it'll be interesting to see if Sato retains the ability to so completely invest in the fictional world of his future projects, assuming there are some. I hope so. Between him and Ryoto Bando's Michito, the show's character dynamic is magnetic, mesmerizing, so that the plot developments of the larger story sometimes feel almost immaterial.
姉はどこかで生きている。
ライオンのお母さん、お姉ちゃんですか？
お母さんは会えなくて寂しい。
The performances play directly into Light of My Lion's particular strength, which is, of course, a very Japanese attempt to represent the world as made up mostly of people who are decent and doing their best in spite of real problems and dangers. Some of them accidents of fate, some of them the result of specific kinds of malice and self-interest. The dark side is clearly present, but the ethos of shows like this one are ultimately touched by the persistent, if fragile, power of hope, of faith that things, including people, can be better. Hence, I suppose, the slightly unsuccessful pun built into the show's English title, Light of My Lion, suggesting Light of My Life. The Japanese original, Lion no Kakurega, is simpler, more literal, meaning something like lion's refuge or hiding place. That sense of trying to find a safe space, a pride which is mutually supportive and protective, anzen, as Mikun frequently calls it, is the heart of the show, and why its audience might find it so appealing as I did.
ライオンと一緒に絵描きました。ライオンが一緒に描きたいと言いました。僕とライオンで描きました。
すごいじゃん、みっくん。
お兄ちゃんと僕とライオンは同じプライドの仲間です。
We all want safety, a sense of home where our various talents and potentials are nurtured by those around us who love us. Japanese TV shows can be contrived and oversimplified, but that desire to be optimistic in the face of profound cynicism is powerful and affecting. You might find it a little uneven in parts. There are certain elements of the story that I think are better executed than others, but when it's good, it's really good. And some of it is absolutely gorgeous and really quite moving. Again, the show is currently available on Netflix. It's in Japanese, so you have to use the subtitles, but I don't think you'll have any difficulty following it. And hearing the Japanese language, I think, always helps to sort of anchor the show in a specifically Japanese ambience. This is not merely a show in Japanese, it's a Japanese show, and that makes a difference. I really recommend it.
ライオンの隠れ家、みんな見てね。ガー
That's all for now. As ever, please like, comment, subscribe, check out my Patreon page. As I say all the time, this channel is not monetized, so it's my patrons who make it possible. If you get a chance, also please consider checking out my books and my merchandise, and that's it. I will talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.